Opinion polling tells us that a majority of Australians believe the budget is unfair, that it favours wealthy Australians over low-income earners. Labor devoted question time on Monday, trying to reinforce that belief. One interesting point, it directed every one of its questions to the Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, and none to the architect of the budget, Joe Hockey.
Why is it fair to cut the conditions of some of Australia's lowest paid cleaners when in fact the government in its budget is giving millionaires $50,000 to have a baby?
No cleaner's pay is reduced. Every cleaner continues to be paid under the relevant industrial instrument, and no cleaner in this country can be employed at other than the award or above.
Cleaners around Australia will lose thousands of dollars because the Prime Minister is scrapping the Commonwealth Cleaning Services guidelines. Can the Prime Minister explain to the hard-working cleaners of Australia why this is fair?
The assertions in the Leader of the Opposition's question are simply untrue. They are simply false. No cleaner can be paid at other than the award or above. Simple truth. Simple truth.
I didn't ask the Prime Minister about the award. I was just quoting his own budget back at him and how it takes money from cleaners.
Can the Prime Minister explain why he and the Treasurer think it's fair to cut support from pensioners on around $20,000 a year, while at the same time giving $50,000 a year to wealthy Australians who have a baby?
I call the Honourable the Prime Minister.
You're factually wrong. You're wrong again. You're absolutely factually wrong, as usual.
There'll be silence.
If it's wrong to index pensions by CPI, why did members opposite index the family tax benefit by CPI? And pensions will go up. They will go up every 6 months, and members opposite should stop scaring the pensioners of Australia. I am proud, I am very proud to believe that for the first time the women of Australia should have access to a fair dinkum paid parental leave scheme. I'm very proud that we are responsible for what will be a watershed economic and social policy advance.
Liberal Senator Ian McDonald has today said that his inclination was to vote against the Prime Minister's unfair and unaffordable paid parental leave scheme if the Prime Minister's own colleagues won't even support this unfair paid parental leave scheme. Why should Australia?
The principle that the Leader of the Opposition is apparently supporting is that public servants should get a better deal than the people of Australia. His staff should get paid parental leave at their real wage, but the people of Australia should not.
Can the Prime Minister explain why he and the Treasurer believe it is fair to axe the senior supplement and rip more than $800 from the pockets of around 300,000 Australian seniors, whilst at the same time giving $50,000 to wealthy Australians to have a baby?
I can only assume that should the current opposition ever come back into government, that they would change the public service rules to prevent public servants from being paid at their wage when they take paid parental leave.
Today, the Melbourne Institute revealed that over the last decade there has been a 4.5% reduction in the number of working-age people receiving welfare payments. Now that the government's claims of a welfare crisis have been exposed as false, why do the Prime Minister and his Treasurer still believe it is fair to cut pensions and family tax benefits?
Members of the opposition are spreading untruths. Simple as that. Every 6 months the pension goes up. What has happened, Madam Speaker, is that the government will, over time, somewhat reduce the rate of growth. And the reason for that, Madam Speaker, is that we do need to address the debt and deficit disaster that members opposite left us.
Now that the government's claims of a welfare crisis have been exposed as false, why does the Prime Minister and his Treasurer still believe it's fair to cut pensions and to cut family tax benefits?
The truth is, Madam Speaker, that pensions go up now They will continue to go up in the future. They will always go up. They will always go up under this government.
For Isaacs will
what
desist.
won't continue to go up under this government is debt and deficit, Madam Speaker.
Why does the Prime Minister believe that it's fair for carers to lose $80 a week because of his budget cuts, while at the same time wealthy Australians will receive $50,000 to have a baby?
There are no changes to carers as a result of the budget. We made commitments to carers. We made commitments to carers pre-election, and those commitments will be kept.
Earlier in question time, the Prime Minister said, "I want to make it absolutely crystal clear that no cleaner's pay is reduced." Will the Prime Minister stand up again and guarantee that no cleaner will have their pay reduced as a result of his changes to the Commonwealth Cleaning Services guidelines, and how is anything less fair?
This government has not reduced the pay of any cleaner. Full stop, end of story. This government has not reduced the pay of any cleaner. And the Leader of the Opposition, who can't help interjecting, the Leader of the Opposition should stop telling untruths.
Today we learned that the poorest 4.5 million Australians control only 1% of the nation's wealth, less than our 9 richest Australians. Will the Prime Minister now abandon his unfair budget cuts, where the burden is most felt by 4.5 million of Australia's lowest paid Australians? How is this unfair budget in any interest to the working poor of this country?
I certainly want to see a more egalitarian society. Of course I want to see a more egalitarian society. We all want to see a more egalitarian society. The social problems that the Leader of the Opposition has discerned are problems that were created by his own government. By his own government, Madam Speaker. That is the problem. This Leader of the Opposition has no plan for the future. He simply has a complaint. This is a fundamentally fair budget. It's a budget where everyone is playing his or her part.